Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to take a concept that feels really familiar, the will of God, and we're going to flip it on its head. We're diving into a way of thinking where faith and, well, physics kind of collide, and where devotion runs up against this unbending system of cosmic law. It's fascinating stuff. So let's get right into it.
All right, let's start with a question meant to really shake things up a bit. Can prayer save you from poison? Seriously, think about that. If you are the most faithful, the most devout person in the world, can that piety alone protect you from a physical law? This is the exact question sitting right at the heart of what we're exploring today. And trust me, the answer it gives is probably not what you're expecting.
Okay, so to really get what we're talking about, we have to make a really important shift in how we use our words. The source uses the term Shangdi, which is often translated as God, but, and this is a big but, it's not talking about a personal, emotional being who listens to please. Think of it more like the consciousness behind universal law, almost like the operating system of the entire cosmos. So just for our chat today, let's call it the greatest creator. It'll help keep that distinction crystal clear.
And this idea leads us directly to our first big point, the unfeeling laws of creation. The argument here is that the will of this greatest creator isn't shown through personal favors or miracles. Nope, it's expressed through consistent, unbreakable, and frankly, completely unemotional laws of nature.
And this quote just perfectly captures that core idea. The source is incredibly blunt about it. No matter how many incense sticks we've burned, if we drink poison, we will still die. Wow. It's a pretty stark reminder, right? In this system, natural law just does what it does, with total impartiality. Your piety, your good intentions, your devotion, they just don't matter when you violate a fundamental rule of cause and effect. What I love about this slide is how it pits our very human way of thinking against this cold, hard system, you know? We always think our feelings and our intentions should count for something. We say, but I'm a good person, my intentions were pure. And the system, as it's described here, just responds, you violated a law of nature. The consequence is unavoidable. There's just no bargaining.
So let's keep building on this. We're moving on to a system that has zero loopholes. And this part challenges another really common belief, the idea that our good deeds can somehow cancel out or make up for our bad ones.
So, the key principle from the source is this: 功过无法相抵. It means merits and demerits cannot offset each other. You could think of it as a really strict version of karma. In this framework, every single action has its own separate consequence. A good deed gets you a reward. A bad deed gets you a punishment. They're on completely different accounting books.
This slide just makes it so obvious. The common belief is like basic math, right? You do 10,000 good things and one bad thing. You figure you're still way in the positive. But in the reality this source describes, it just doesn't work that way. You get 10,000 separate rewards for all the good stuff, and you still get one separate, unavoidable punishment for that one bad thing.
And just to hammer the point home, the source makes it clear that absolutely no one gets a pass. It doesn't matter if you're a pope, a spiritual master, an emperor, the most devout disciple, or even one of the Creator's own messengers. If you break a law, you face the consequence. Period. There are no VIP exceptions.
Okay, so given these super strict, unbreakable rules, it probably won't surprise you that the path of spiritual progress is described as incredibly tough. And that brings us to our third section, the rigor of perfection. It's seen as a totally all-or-nothing kind of path. To really get this, the source gives us this powerful metaphor. Imagine that to reach spiritual attainment, what it calls becoming an immortal, you need a perfect score of 100 points. So what happens if you get a 99? You're so close, right? That's got to be good enough. Well, nope. The text is totally clear. At 99 points, you are still not an immortal. The missing point must be earned. There's no grading on a curve here. It's a simple pass-fail system, and the only passing grade is 100%. And it's not presented as some moral judgment. It's framed more like a scientific requirement of the system.
So, how in the world are we supposed to deal with that? The source suggests a pretty radical change in how we see things. Instead of seeing bad luck or misfortune as some awful punishment we should complain about, it says we have to understand that it's just a necessary part of the whole process. It's the unavoidable result of a past action, a debt that has to be paid. It's simply the system balancing its books.
Now, I know this all sounds incredibly demanding, but the source doesn't just leave us hanging. This final section is all about what you can actually do. It's about shifting your focus inward. If you can't cheat the system, how do you live inside of it?
The answer really comes down to this one powerful idea. The source introduces a concept it calls life quality, or shengming pinji, and it asks us to stop trying to get beautiful things, like love or success or peace, and instead, it tells us to ask a different question. Is my own inner state, my own life quality, beautiful enough to naturally attract those things?
So the whole path forward boils down to these two steps. First, stop chasing external things. And second, take all that energy and turn it inward, focusing entirely on perfecting your own life quality. The idea here is that a perfected inner self will automatically and naturally draw a beautiful outer reality to it, as a matter of law. You don't have to chase it, you literally become a magnet for it.
And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If we even just entertain this idea for a minute, that the universe runs on these strict, impersonal, unbreakable laws, it really forces us to look at our own lives differently. So here's the question I want to leave you with. What is the one rule, the one core principle that you try to follow, knowing every single action has its own distinct and unavoidable consequence?